Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again, and welcome to Heroes and Droids episode of Gruesome Magazine, where we discuss some of the fringes of genres, the sci-fi, Disney action films, all those kind of fun stuff, a little superheroes maybe from time to time. That's where we squeeze in these reviews right here, right now. And we're going to be doing, I'm excited, Ahsoka episodes 3 and 4. We hope you caught us a couple weeks back when we did the first two episodes. But let me get into the rest of the cast. Before I get back to the regular guys, let's just welcome back Vanessa Tano. How you doing, Vanessa? Glad you're here.
Thanks. Glad to be back. It's been a while.
Yeah, I know you were planning to make it last episode, but work came up at the last moment, so I'm glad it worked out.
But I feel like that's okay because I think this one's going to be a little bit better.
Okay, there's a lot to say there. There's a lot to talk about there. All right, also joining us is the Slattman, Chris Slattery. How you doing, sir?
Fantastic. And I don't know how much you can get better, how much better you can get from a five all around.
I know, we gave it all fives. Not the rest of the
I wouldn't disagree with that. I wouldn't disagree with that, but I think I had a little bit more fun this week.
Well, you might have something there. All right. Also joining us, award-winning filmmaker and Star Wars fan, Christopher G. Moore. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. I'm trying to use the Force to get over this con crud.
No, you sound raspy and
yeah.
Your voice sounds like it's going to the dark side.
I'm trying to do my best, Balin. I'm
nice.
just gonna make this all gray.
Could pull it off as your sexy voice.
Yeah. Is that a note of fear in your voice? Experience.
No, it's con crud.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we are here to review episodes 3 and 4. This will make us halfway through the season already. We're going to give you our first impressions. Each of us can decide to do it as a whole or each episode. And then we'll get into discussion about the 2 episodes, and then we'll wrap things up with a score 1 to 5, either both together or each in one, depending on how they split up for you, and 1 or 2 favorite scenes. If you want to do 1 from each episode, you can. If you just want to do 1, that's okay too. But let's get into things. And since Vanessa is here, let's let her go first. What was your first impression of 3 and 4? And you can, I guess, throw a little bit in what you thought of 1 and 2 getting into here as well.
Well, like you guys, I'm a huge fan just of these people, these characters that they're telling the story about, from Rebels, from Clone Wars. So I, from the start, have loved the show. I love the way that they're unfolding the story. I like that they're giving it time to breathe, that they're trying, you know what I also kind of enjoy, like they are trying to bring people who haven't seen the other shows up to speed, but not that much. And I really appreciate that because, like, I understand, trying to make it accessible for everyone, but it still feels very, like, personal for people who have watched, like, Rebels or Clone Wars. And I think that's kind of really cool to have in this huge, vast Star Wars world. So that's kind of how I felt about the first 2 episodes. It was, getting to see these characters. Well, Ahsoka, obviously, we've seen, but, getting to see these characters in live action and see where they're at now and where they're struggling and what they've been thinking about. And then, get the team back together. Like, I love a getting the team back together kind of story. You son of a bitch, I'm in. That's my thing. And I just love that, like, all this is coming together. And, we got the little... We got some Hera, and then we have Ahsoka, and now they're kind of coming together in a way. And I don't know. I just seeing Sabine and everybody like that is just so cool. And I know they're getting away from this term, but it still kind of feels like they are gray Jedi in a way. And I know he's been like, we're going to dismiss that idea, which I know is going to happen. But they are so cool. Like,
all right, before you jump into episodes 3 and 4, I got ahead of myself. Let's get the card in here, and then we'll come back to you for 3
Okay.
and 4. All right? Sound good? All right. Ahsoka is playing on Disney Plus. It began August 22nd. Episodes 1 and 2 played on that day. Episode 3, part 3, Time to Fly, was August 29th. Hera tangles with New Republic politics while Ahsoka and Sabine, Wren, voyage to a distant planet. Episode 4, part 4, Fallen Jedi, played on September 5th. And Hera risks her career to help friends while Ahsoka and Sabine confront enemies. Directed by Steph Green and Peter Ramsey, written by Dave Filoni, based on Star Wars by George Lucas. The cast includes Rosario Dawson, Natasha Liu Bordizzo, I believe that's close, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ray Stevenson, Ivana Sakno, Diana, Lee Inosanto, David Tennant, Evan Whitten, that's a Whitten, 2 T's, Whitten. Paul Sung Lee comes back, and so does, little spoiler, Hayden Christensen. All right, now let us have it. What was your impression of 3 and 4?
Spoiler heard around the world, I think.
No, yes.
For this one. So good. So good. Focusing on 3 and 4, particularly 3. In 3, you are seeing why it doesn't work. In Andor, we saw why the Republic doesn't work, because they've allowed people with money and with power to start making decisions instead of letting the people who are actually in that world make the decisions. And they are being unrealistic, and they're not listening to the advice that's given to them by people like Hera, right? Who's saying, like, you think this is not a threat, but it really is. People who've actually been to war, that comment that she makes to that senator, like, have you ever been at war, Senator? Like, yeah, no, obviously that guy has never seen war before in his life. And I think that is so, like, that was such an important moment to me, especially using Hera to really drive that home, and having Mon Mothma there, of all people, having to step back down to knowing what's out there and having to, listen to what all these other people are telling her to do. I feel like that's been the story of her life, right? And it's painful to watch that. And I think that's a necessary pain to see, to understand, like, okay, here's why these people are going to go against it and do what they're going to do and continue to fight in the way that they've been fighting this whole time against this greater evil. So I mean, I just thought Hera was great in that, as she's been this whole time. I love Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Hera. I think she is nailing that character. And Chopper, that's more of a 4. We get to see more of her in this one with Chopper. But seeing Chopper in live action is just like, it makes my heart happy.
Makes
seeing
your
that
heart
little
happy.
droid in live action. But 4 is a stellar episode of television. Like, just getting to see those lightsaber duels that were taking place, especially between Ahsoka and Baylan, was incredible. Seeing their traditional fighting styles that they're using, seeing Jedis trained as Jedis after most of them are gone, and having respect for each other even though they're fighting each other. I thought that was just kind of incredible to watch. And those are some of the big moments. There's so many smaller things going on. Like, I love David Tennant as the droid, as their
good,
droid.
huh?
He is so good in that role, and that droid, he's given him so much personality. And we've seen in all these shows, we've seen a lot how these droids are more companions to so many of these people, right? They're not just work droids, they're actual companions to these people. And I like seeing those sorts of relationships play out in this too, because I think a lot of what we're seeing now is a lot of pain and a lot of leftover emotions that everyone is trying to deal with, while also trying to stop Thrawn, right? Like, there's this ever looming fear of Thrawn coming back and being the one who's really gonna make everything really bad, because as we know, he's he's a master tactician, right? That no one could ever get ahead of him. The only reason Ezra did is because of his use of the Force and the Purgils and all that. But like, he was always so many steps ahead of everyone. So if Thrawn were around, Thrawn would be the Empire, right? And so you see that threat building, and I really like. Oh my god, I lost my train of thought because I was totally talking about. I was enraptured with Thrawn for a moment. But anyways, I will ramble on forever trying to catch up. But I'm just really enjoying these episodes, watching them play out. The ending to this one was like, I mean, we all knew it was coming, but it was still kind of unbelievable. And we don't know what we've seen yet. You know, we don't know who he actually is, or where
version,
she actually
right?
is, or what happened. Like all these things that have happened in these last couple episodes, and I'm just so excited, to the point where you guys shared earlier that the next one's going to be showed in a theater, so they're expecting some big things to come from this episode 5.
Wouldn't that be it? That'd be exciting. I'd like to watch it in the theater because this one felt very much theater worthy.
Yeah, it's nowhere around here though.
Oh no, of course. All right, Slattman, you're up next. What was your first impression of episodes 3 and 4?
I thought episode 3 was a really fun jaunt through space, literally. And yeah, not much more needs to be said there. I thought it was fun. Good episode. Episode 4, I think, is a modern classic of Star Wars.
I like it. Very good.
I think visually it's fantastic. Sound design is amazing. It hits it hits everything that you want to in a good Star Wars story, from some emotional turmoil, from awesome bad guys, awesome fights, awesome motivation, and a better cliffhanger than The Force Awakens managed to pull off. I don't know. This one hit on all cylinders, but in a vacuum, I don't think it would have hit as hard if we didn't have those 3 episodes of build up. So
very good. I like that quite a bit. Thank you. Christopher G. Moore, your first impression of episode 3 and 4?
I've got a rad feeling about this series.
Rad.
I'm really enjoying. I think, and I think I mentioned this in the previous episodes, but you can definitely feel the love of the Star Wars franchise, the love of the characters that were created within the animated universe, and that transition.
Universe.
Yeah. And because I feel like they've really stepped up their game with the special effects. Because there's really, maybe it's just me, but there's some really cool lightsaber, fights. I mean, there's a part on the outside of a ship that I've never seen in Star Wars. That's freaking amazing. To where I was like, my jaw dropped. I was like, this is happening in a TV series. And then like, there's even a fight between droids that's pretty badass. It's like Fight Club,
Yeah.
And I think it does make me kind of sad because is it Ray Stevenson? Is that the guy's name?
Ray Stevenson, yeah.
He's so amazing. The dialogue, I wrote down pieces of his dialogue where he says so much with so little. Like there's a part where it's like, hey, have faith. And he's like, faith, I lost that a long time ago. Or my favorite one is that a note of fear in your voice? Experience, short and to the point. I was like, he brings an eloquence to the Star Wars universe that we've kind of been missing that for a while, and I do feel like he's like Vanessa was saying, it's very, very gray Jedi-ish, which we've never really had as much in the live action. But yeah, and there's the build up, although I will say I think Sabine Wren, although I'm one of those people who have not seen. I've seen like one scene from Rebels, the Darth Vader scene, because I had to see that. I've never seen an episode of Rebels. I've seen some episodes of Clone Wars, maybe the last season and maybe but so I'm going into this kind of blind, but I don't think I necessarily have to have that. But now it makes me excited to sort of delve into that. But yeah, and they have that kind of stuff that ties into that, but they also have stuff that ties into the Star Wars all the Star Wars films that have come out before that. You know, there's a lot of references to a lot of different things. That I mean, like
Certainly
if you paid
is.
it. Well, you know the scene with the holograms, Mon Mothma.
Mhm.
That's the same room that they had the scene from Return of the Jedi, where she said that many Bothans died. That's the same area that they had that scene. So, but now she's in hologram form. So things like that kind of tie into the other stuff. And again, maybe it's just the horn dog in me, but Hera.
You've been watching too many TikToks, Chris.
No, I made my own TikToks when I was watching it. I mean, yeah, it's like every time she walks away from the camera, I'm like, I'm in love. I was like, I never thought I'm pulling a freaking Captain Kirk and like it's in Green Women, but she's not only is she an amazing character, but she's pretty hot. So I hate to say that, but I'm watching it and I'm going, you know, every time they see her walking, I was like, I feel like, what is wrong with me? I've been single for 2 years.
Swing.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think all the actors are doing a great job of it, and the battles and stuff, and even and how that's playing out. And then we have that kind of thing where you have Sabine Wren, who's always very kind of selfish to some degree, and kind of gets herself in trouble. I don't know if that's how she was in Rebels, but she kind of annoyed me because of just. But I can understand that because we've had that. Anakin did the same thing. He was kind of torn between being a Jedi and falling in love and dealing with that. So that's something that's always sort of been in Star Wars, when when people are sort of dedicated to a certain thing and then they're kind of torn. But yeah, I think that, these episodes are turning out really well. And then that whole snips moment at the very end is pretty amazing. Yeah. So I'm loving the series.
Yeah, I am too. I'm by the end of 4, I was thinking this is the best Star Wars we've gotten in quite some time. I think this is top notch. I mean, the third episode is fine. I didn't dislike it by any stretch of the imagination, but it was a downbeat from the previous 2, and it certainly allowed us to rise to the fourth episode. The fourth episode is movie quality to me. It's like that. You could make a movie out of these 4 episodes, and it would be one of the best Star Wars out there. I think I am absolutely loving this, and I don't think I'm lost with the characters at all. I didn't know who Jason was. I hadn't seen him yet. So I hadn't got that far in Rebels, but it didn't take much to figure out what's going on there. And the new characters, I think the new characters really are making it, and that being Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati, she who shall not blink. I thought the 2 of them are fantastic. There's such a he is definitely the master, and he behaves like a master would. He's very short to the point, very stoic. He doesn't he doesn't even pull the lightsaber first, right? He waits for Ahsoka to do it. And then she's pretty much the Padawan that all Padawans are, right? Eager to get out there and do stuff and get in trouble, right? So there's a lot of things going on with these characters, and with Ahsoka and Sabine as well. There's parallels that I'm really, really enjoying. And I don't feel like he's motivated in a way that doesn't make him purely evil. There's such depth to his character that it makes him utterly fascinating. And I am absolutely loving this show, and it is delivering it. And now we're getting into spoilers, and I want to start it off going, and I don't know if we want to get into this, but I got to bring it up. I'm just so infuriated by how many people are actually dissing the show, that it's getting so much.
Are you
hate.
surprised? Maybe aside from the 5 of us here, everyone disses everything that comes out Star Wars. How boring did everybody think Andor was before it got to that 4th episode or whatever? Like,
I mean,
I'm so sick
only
of it.
3 of us actually liked Andor.
I liked it too, and it's like, are you guys never I'm sorry. Are you guys never happy? Like, do you want Star Wars, or should they just not make it anymore? Because everything that comes out is a complaint, and I understand criticisms of things, but it's like, are you gonna ever enjoy anything? It's so annoying at this point.
Putting it on a pedestal that doesn't need to be on. These are just chapters of of the universe that we should be enjoying and consuming. And
Yeah, and it feels so much like Star Wars. Like this particular show feels so Star Warsy to me. I'm like, I really, it's hard to. I hear that, and I was just telling Chris Slattery that I was watching Rebel Force Radio and just seething because all they can do is show screenshots of Ahsoka like this. They're like, if she did anything other than just cross her arms, I'm like, dude, if I saw you right now, I'd punch you right in the face because you're an idiot. Like, I just do not understand character development. Do not understand letting stories build up to a point. Like, I no longer understand all the complaining, but that's my rant.
If
I
there's
agree with
anything that Mando season 1 to present has taught me is that I have unsubscribed from a lot of Star Wars people, like Star Wars content creators, because all they do is complain now.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I feel like complaining is what drives the clicks, drives the content, or drives the, I don't know. It's just toxic right now. It sucks. It's toxic. But at least we all like what we're watching right now.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's talk about some of the key moments and discuss what they mean. Most of them are going to be from the episode 4 because a lot happens in episode 4 that is propels the storyline into the next, I guess, other half of the episodes, right? And it's the relationship between Ahsoka and Sabine, and then of course the fights against Balaam Skull and Shin, and what's the other fellow's name?
Merrick.
You mean Cloud Boy?
Cloud Boy.
Dust Boy?
There's a reason behind that.
Yeah, I was thinking I was like, oh, what is all that? But I've learned since then that he's not the first one to be like that. So.
Witch magic.
Yeah.
Night Sister. Yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot going on with that battle. Her positioning, her pose, and the action she takes. There's a lot of reminiscent between us. Another character that maybe we'll talk about later.
Well, she basically does the same stance that Obi-Wan Kenobi does with Darth
Is it
Maul.
Obi-Wan or Anakin?
Well, in the Rebels series, there's a scene where is it Rebels or Clone Wars? The one where Obi-Wan's fighting Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm.
That happens in both Clone Wars and Rebels.
Okay. Well, his stance when he kills Darth Maul is the same stance. And now some people are thinking, well, this is if the Night Sister can bring back people from the dead. Some people are like, well, maybe we can get Darth Maul back. Some people,
his arc is done. There's
been rumors. Well,
if that wasn't Galen Merrick, then that ain't happening. Okay.
Yeah. Some people thought it was that it might be Starkiller from
Galen.
Force Unleashed. Yeah, which that would have been nice as somebody who's a big fan of the Force Unleashed games, but
no freaking way. But some of these theories are just out of control. Like thinking that was Ezra. Okay, if it's Ezra, why don't they have Thrawn? Like,
well, that doesn't make sense.
I think that's the biggest problem with Star Wars fandom in general. Everybody has their own idea how things play out, and if it doesn't play out that way, then they always think, well, I could do a better job, blah blah blah. And it's like,
do it. Make your own Rebel Moon movie.
Then. Yeah, and then see
Rebel Moon. We'll get to that one later in the year. Why? Yes. The fight between Ahsoka and Baylan is amazing. It's probably one of the best lightsaber fights I think in all of Star Wars, in my opinion. I mean, there's ones maybe that have more impact story-wise, but I think just the way the characters behaved, the way they kind of came in for the close-ups when they needed to. That like when Baylan's talking about it didn't have to come down to this. You could just the reflections of the sabers in their faces was just, oh my god, it was amazing. There's a lot going on. Sabine acts out of character. I'm not Sabine, but Ahsoka acts out of character for herself when she thinks Sabine has been killed, which allows her to really. I mean, that's when she loses, really, right? When she does that, and I don't know. Like you said, the dialogue with him as well. Like when he goes, "How inevitable," right? It was just like he knew it was going to come down to that.
Yeah,
He didn't have
so
to draw a
sad.
sword until he did that. But one more thing I'll say, and I'll let you guys have it. But the one moment that really impressed me with him, and he's become one of my favorite characters, is the moment he just stops and uses the Force to kind of figure out what Sabine's all about. And you could see it in his face and his body expression. It was beautifully done. And then he just turns off the saber and starts talking to her, and uses diplomacy, which is such a Jedi move. Really, right?
Mm-hmm.
This battle was amazing for me. Go.
I have a theory, and I think this is a good time to bring it up because we're talking about Baylan. I have a theory that Baylan and Morgan's end games are not the same.
Oh no, I get that.
Oh, definitely.
I think that Baylan is trying to get to Thrawn for not because he wants to bring Thrawn back to bring back the Empire, but I think Baylan wants to recruit Thrawn wants to either go to help Thrawn with something or wants to go to recruit Thrawn for another greater purpose that's going to lead to the giant climactic Filoni verse, like movie or whatever. Because I don't know. I have a sneaking suspicion that they're gonna find Thrawn and Baylan's gonna be like, "Joke's on you, Morgan. I'm not on your side." Ha ha ha. Zap.
I kind of get the impression he's not on. He's more after Thrawn than out to get
because
I thought he was out to
because he's always talking about like I'm doing this for the greater good or something like that. He's never talking about I'm doing this for the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he did say something about Thrawn like being a necessary or unfortunate something to that effect, where it really like drove home. He doesn't care so much about Thrawn. It's whatever else that situation is going to get him to.
Yeah. And it's I can't remember if it was you, Christopher, or you, Vanessa, that said that his delivery is so deliberate.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just makes me think that he's specifically saying these things and acting this way for a reason. Like not wanting to fight Ahsoka, probably because he knows that Ahsoka is necessary for X, Y, and Z.
He gives off that older Jedi, like a Qui-Gon-ish kind of, almost a Dooku-ish before going totally bad, like had this air about them and this well, and we know Baylan is so tapped into the Force that one of his gifts is being able to, I don't know if it's so much see the future or if it is so more like definitely intuit people, read minds in a way, but having that I think has just solidified this kind of not elegance, but just that kind of like presence that he has.
Let's talk about
he's very methodical.
Yeah.
Ears are always turning in his head.
So good.
He doesn't have to say a lot, but when he says something, it's very impactful.
Yeah, because there was it 2 or 3? There was one episode where he really wasn't in it too much, but there were just pointed moments where he was saying things or was the catalyst for actions, and just that was enough. He just makes such an impact.
Well, when they start up the eye, right, and do they get, and he just the way he looks around, you feel like he's absorbing a lot more information than we're absorbing because he's figuring some shit out, right?
Yeah, and he doesn't like Morgan. Like a lot of times, he makes comments about witches or witchcraft or something that he doesn't like. You can tell he doesn't like it.
And when he gets to when he takes the lightsaber to the map,
that was intense.
All right, let's talk about Sabine, because Sabine has a huge arc in this particular episode. There's a huge character moment for her. Of course, she has to fight with Shin, which is a really good fight, and a couple different, first with guns, then with sabers, and then the Force. But no, she doesn't have the Force. And then later, of course, when she confronts Baylan, and she has to make that decision that Baylan offers. Let's start with the battle first. Slattman, she she didn't if I recall, she doesn't train as a Padawan in the Rebels at all. This is all made up.
Well,
Rebels, right?
Asterisk.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kanan. Sabine comes to own the Darksaber at a point in Rebels, and Kanan actually teaches her how to wield it. Doesn't teach her how to use the Force or anything, but teaches her how to wield it effectively as a Jedi would, and teaches her like the different forms and everything with and how to go toe to toe with someone who can use the Force without having the Force herself. So
the Force is in everyone.
Yeah.
Right.
Some degree, yeah.
Yep. But not like the midichlorian people. But anyway, so what do we think of this battle? Because it escalates in 3 different ways.
I think it shows, especially if you compare it to her battle with Shin from the first episode, it shows that Sabine is able to learn and able to adapt. And she's much more badass when she actually has her armor.
Yes, the armor helps. The armor certainly helps, because there's a couple times where she's deflecting the lightsaber with her.
She realizes where her strengths are. I mean, she's definitely not as strong with lightsabers as what's her name, Shin is, but at the same time, she definitely has that Mandalorian type tech that a lot of Mandalorians use against Jedi. So, and I think that's her main advantage is being able to use those type of things. But then what was it? Shin uses that Batman tactic of like,
he does do a Batman
smoke
tactic.
bomb.
I know.
Which is funny because a Mandalorian would probably do that too.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
I wish she'd get that smoke bomb.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
She has a pouch that we don't know about. I like the moment when she looks like she's going to try to use the Force, and Shin even reacts like, "Oh crap!" and then she goes, "You don't even have any power!" And then of course she. But I like those character moments, and that's what I'm really enjoying about these 4 episodes. There's all these character moments with how these characters are growing or interacting or adapt, and I just, to me, it's marvelous work. It's well written, extraordinarily well directed. Let's talk about her decision now. First, I want to say visually, she's looking so animated, like she almost looks like she stepped out of the animation in this episode, in episode 4. It just, to me, it was like there were moments like, wow, I could see that scene animated, in Rebels. It was just so perfectly realized. But anyway, Vanessa, she has a pretty tough choice here, and her reasoning for the choice, of course, is does she follow her master's wishes, or does she follow her heart, if you will, and go after Ezra? What did you think of that moment?
I can't. What's his name? Hailung or something? The droid.
Yes.
The droid.
Hu
Yang. Yeah. He makes a comment similar to that early on, about how she comes from a line of something like unusual Jedi or something like that. He says a line similar to that. So it just makes me think like it's all par for the course with this particular master Padawan. Because if you take it back, right, you got Anakin, you have Obi-Wan, you have Qui-Gon, you have Dooku, you have Yoda, and like that's a line of Jedi that are extremely influential and important, but have taken varied paths, right? And to kind of see that come down to this sort of decision that she needs to make, I found that very interesting, and I like how Baylan was also manipulating her saying, your master didn't trust you and that's why your family's dead and you feel alone. Like, that's a huge manipulation without having to use a Jedi mind trick. That is a Jedi mind trick of its own.
It's definitely a stab to the heart.
Yeah. And she thinks that her master's dead. The only person left in this world that she has, right, is dead. It's just been thrown off this cliff. So,
well, she also knows that she's not going to live if she fights. I think, right?
So it's such an interesting. I really didn't know what was going to happen in that moment. If she was going to take it and run, if she was going to try to destroy it, if she was going to give it to him. That was such a tense moment. But come to find out now, even if she'd shot it, nothing was going to happen.
Yeah.
He'd lightsabered that thing for like a full 30 seconds before it exploded. Yeah. But I thought that was a super powerful moment. And a lot of commenters are saying like, oh, this is her leaning into the dark side. And once you go dark, like, that's it. But I've also, have heard people say, the dark side can also be an entry into the Force, right? You don't have to stay with that, but it could be her way of accessing that Force power, So
yeah,
I don't know.
I was going to say it's also a good reason, live to fight another day. I mean,
well, yeah, at the bottom of it, right? And Balin's the type of person who will, as we've seen, kind of will stay like back up his word, right? He said he's gonna protect her, or that no harm will come to her and whatever. So he's standing by that. And I think to Slattman's point, like, who knows what Balin is thinking? And if he can see into these people, who knows what potential he sees in Sabine, right? That he can use for whatever. Or maybe it's even we're gonna get there. And if he's doing this manipulation with Thrawn or whatever, it needs more people involved in that. Just theories out there. But the fact that she was on that ship when it took off, that, like, none of that. That's what I love about this show. It's uncharted territory, right? We really don't know what's going to happen next. And I'm loving that so much.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen anybody caught in
cool
hyperspace maneuver like that, right?
The bad guys won.
Yeah.
Like, that's the bad guys winning that episode.
It did feel very much like Empire Strikes Back, didn't it?
Yeah.
Didn't it?
It was cool.
I mean, until the very end. The very, very, very
well, the very, very, the moment
that showed a little bit more hope. And that's a good segue.
Yes. Well, before we do that, Captain Tiva, welcome back. Glad you're still with us. Glad you survived. Bring some action next week. All right, go ahead, Christopher. Let's talk about our guest star in the last seconds of the show.
Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
We get it. Well, a de-aged Force ghost, I guess.
He didn't need to be, though, but I guess it makes sense. Like,
I do want to clarify, or I do want to say, so this is in the world between worlds, so it's not confirmed it's a Force ghost. It could be a alternate universe version of Anakin who never turned into Vader.
Yeah.
But
I think
it's more likely
ghost.
that that he's a Force ghost.
He'd be all glowy and stuff.
He doesn't look like a Force ghost. Like,
but
he's a little glowy, but not like.
Yeah, but he's in that other realm and stuff. So, and I know that's something that people have been looking forward to. They heard that he was involved with this series, and again, everybody has their ideas of what's going to happen. Like, is it going to be this or that? I think there's a friend of mine. It's like, tell me when he shows up, and I'll start watching Ahsoka.
Don't tell him.
Yeah, I shouldn't. But yeah, I think it was kind of nice to see that, and then, like, again, that the ending, and then that now we have to wait till next week to find out what happens with that.
Yeah, is she, like, what happened to her? Is he in the world between worlds and pulled her out the way that Ezra did as she was about to die? Is she in the water? And, like, this is all in her mind that's happening? Like, is she in this liminal state? I'm just so interested to see where it's going to take off from here. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure, like, we know there's going to be flashbacks in the next one. They wouldn't be shown in the theater if it wasn't some big, huge thing.
Yeah.
The way I feel like that's going to play out is he's maybe going to take her to these different little portal holes and show her things that are going to then help with whatever comes next. But I'm just, and I don't think. Do you think we'll get a resolution? I have a feeling that the majority of this next episode is going to be in the World Between Worlds, and we're not really going to come back to her story in real life until maybe the next episode.
Your theory would line up with some of the leaked artworks that have come out. Like, so you remember back when Obi-Wan came out, and we got like the leaked like storyboards of like different fight or different like ideas that they had. Some of the storyboards that also came out with this are relevant to that came out with that were for Ahsoka as well, and one of them was Ahsoka fighting Anakin on Mustafar. So if your theory is right, I could totally see, like, you know, here's different parts, a Star Wars what if, to pull from Marvel for a second, almost to say, you know, this is how things could have been different, but it always ends up the same, or something
So
along those
excited.
lines.
Potential Vader in it, huh? Some Vader.
Well, they cast a young Ahsoka, so we're definitely going to see young Ahsoka and young Anakin in
So
live
it's gonna be
action.
like, it's gonna be like Christmas past and Christmas present, and Christmas future, or what is it?
Hey,
Possibly, yeah.
Oh,
I'd be fine with
he's
that.
Jacob Marley.
leading her around.
Oh no. I mean, are we going to see any others? Is it just going to be Anakin? I don't know. But I didn't notice.
You win,
McGregor. I mean, he certainly could. I didn't know the significance of the dialogue. I never caught that. The two lines that everybody's going nuts over. Christopher, you said it earlier in the show what he says, but it just when she goes master, it didn't matter for me. You know, I got it anyway. But what was the hello? What was
Hey,
the
Snips.
Snips? So I never realized he called her Snips. I guess I missed all that. So
Because she was so snippy. Called her Snips.
But I like the line. I didn't
cry.
expect to see you so soon. I like that.
I'm just loving this. You feel the love and emotion that Filoni is putting into the show and into these characters. And these actors are doing such a great job embodying all those nuances that those voice actors brought to life in those characters. They're doing such a great job translating that into live action that, to me, it just feels so like it's just that world, you know? We're back in that world. I wonder if we're gonna see what's his name? The big purple guy. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think we're seeing him.
You don't think he'll be back?
No, I think they threw him into Mando season 3 as kind of here he is. Here's Zeb. You don't have don't complain when he's not in Ahsoka, because we gave him to you.
Maybe.
I mean, he could show up at the very end.
Man, get the team back together.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely we'd get him in a season 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If this season ends in a
definitely.
cliffhanger, I could see Hera going to get Zeb, and even Mutton Chops. I don't remember his name off the top of my head from Rebels.
The bad guy. The bad guy.
Well,
he was mostly a bad guy.
spoilers.
He wasn't a bad guy
Fulcrum as well, but
What was that?
he went by Fulcrum as well. He used that term as well. That would be interesting.
Yeah, I could see a season 2 including those two characters for whatever. However this ends. If it ends on a cliffhanger, that would be awesome.
Oh, speaking of, do you guys know when this is taking place? Because it's, you know, is this still during Mando season 2? Like, where's the Luke Skywalker interaction with Ahsoka right now?
I was trying to figure that out. I've heard people say it happens between 2 and the one scene where she's in Boba Fett. So in between those two, but that doesn't make sense to me. It's just as well to be after that.
Well, she just got the witch, right? And they just were taking her off.
Right. So that's part of that.
There was supposedly, I don't remember where I read this, but I read somewhere that there was a 6-month a 6-month Earth time gap between season 2 of Mando High Cat and that episode of Book of Boba Fett.
Okay. So this happens in between that, huh?
It could happen between then, yeah.
So
because you kind of wonder why Luke isn't a part of this, right?
Well, what I'm wondering, what that question is positing, is Ahsoka's got to get to wherever Sabine is now. Ahsoka and
she's gonna ride a whale,
right? They got to get out there. And who do we know that can communicate with animals?
Ezra.
Jar Jar Binks.
Grogu.
Oh.
So like, no, I'm serious. Like all these shows are leading up to the movie, right? They're kind of coming into a funnel into the movie that's going to come out. And so I wonder if that's something that will lead up to it. Could Grogu be used to speak to the Purgils to get her to where she needs to go? Like that's not so out of the realm of belief if he can like make a.
If she doesn't do it herself, yeah.
I think it's just as likely that Anakin will kick her out of a portal in the world between worlds.
Anakin thing, right? Yeah, but it would be really fun at some point.
She's gonna go,
whenever they all are together.
Riding the whale.
Hey man, if they could do it in Dune, if somebody can ride one of those big worms, he can ride a whale.
She already has the fitted spacesuit.
That's right.
Yeah. That was so cool too. We kind of glazed over that, but what a great moment in her little spacesuit jumping around with her lightsabers. Oh my god, that was
Zero G flips and shit.
Yes, and kicking ass at the same time. Amazing. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Let's give our final scores for both of them, 1 through 5. I imagine we'll do each episode, and you can pick a scene from each episode. Vanessa Tano, you are up first.
Well, I would give this series a 5 overall so far. Like, I loved all these episodes, and I would maybe give like episode 3 a 4.5 and like this one a 5, just because it ramps up a little bit more. But I don't even like overall. It's still a 5 for me. Well, and I think I've said everything that I could say. Like, I'm just enjoying this series so much, and it's really gotten me just excited again. And Slattman's right, just got to tune out all the drama from all the people out there talking and just enjoy it. Like, if you want to enjoy it, you're gonna enjoy it. My favorite scene, well, the one I just mentioned, her in her little spacesuit, it was great when she's doing flips outside and Chopper's screaming about where's the bomb, and she's like, it's where you left it, and he moves the thing and he finds the little bomb. Like, I love that. I love those little interactions. Oh my god, your cat's so cute.
Squirrel.
In this one, it's so difficult because I felt like this one had a lot of really cool moments, like stuff we didn't touch on too much. Chris talked about, the droid fight, the droid on droid fight, and like that was so cool to see. That was just really cool and felt really tense too, because you didn't know what was going to happen then and in that moment. And you really you become attached to these droids and you don't want to see them hurt or taken out of the story.
I like that he had enough battle knowledge to defend himself, but not necessarily win.
Right.
So that was a strong moment.
He's been training Jedis, right? So he knows some things, but yeah, I thought that was really good. But
help me.
I don't know. I guess there's obviously myriad amazing scenes, and I could pick sort of anything, but I really liked that, and I liked how it gave us that little moment too, because there's so many things about Sabine and Ahsoka, their relationship together, their pain that they're feeling, the tenuous trust that they have in each other right now, right? And he gets attacked, he pulls the power, she's like, stupid droid, and Ahsoka's like, no, he wouldn't do that, like that's on purpose. And then they go and this whole fight starts. Like, that to me was a tight little moment of like something, so like you could really look that over and just have it be an action. But I really liked that whole little that story moment they told right there.
Excellent. I do too. I'm glad you went with that. That's perfect. Slattman, sir. Give it to us.
I'm gonna give episode 3 a 4.75.
Perfect.
And I'm gonna give episode 4 a 5, but it might go up to a 5.5 out of 5. I don't know. I really, really liked that episode, but I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to overdo it by going over a 5 yet, because I just.
You're gonna save it for next week.
I don't know. I think there's the best is still to come in this show. My favorite scenes, I loved when they were flying through the Purgo.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I thought that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Really well done. And they just looked good.
Hang did get to see it.
For being giant CGI space whales, like, it looked good.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great chase scene too, wasn't it?
Yeah. A fun jaunt through space, you know? And
with a little politics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
And
the way that Christopher
you
G. Moore
shall
likes
not
it.
blink.
And my favorite scene in the 4th episode, as much as I want to say Hayden Christensen, I don't think that's actually my favorite scene. My favorite scene is the shot where the camera is focusing on Sabine's helmet on the ground, and Shin and Sabine are fighting in the background.
Yep.
That shot was I love that shot. That shot could be like my desktop wallpaper, and I would be happy for a very long time.
So I guess that helmet is still there, right? So
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't think she ever picked it up.
It was so intentional. It was such an intentional shot, because I remember vividly I saw that and I was like, wow.
Yeah, I guess Huang, however you pronounce the robot's name, they'll go find it and take care of it. Right?
Yeah.
I better hold on to this. Somebody might want to. Anyway, Christopher G. Moore, sir, give us your scores and your favorite scenes, please.
I like both of them. I think they both get a 5 out of 5 for me. And I think episode 3, I think the only criticism I can say is it's too short. I wanted to see more.
There was only,
and that's not a horrible thing to do. I mean, I'm gonna have to. You guys picked my 2 favorite scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I left Hayden for you because I thought you
I didn't pick the droid.
Well, no, in episode 3, my favorite scene is when she's doing the lightsaber stuffs outside the ship. That's something I've never seen in live action Star Wars, and to me it's one of the coolest things that's ever been done in live action Star Wars in a very long time. And for it to happen on a TV show says a lot, because it really works really well, you know. As for episode 4, I'll say I like the fight between Ahsoka and Merrick.
Oh, okay.
She's like, she does that like basic stance, and I think like most people, when you see that green stuff, kind of like, oh crap, what happened here? But yeah, I thought that fight where she's somebody pointed out online, Inquisitors don't really have a chance around her. She has a habit of really switching their lightsabers off or doing other things, because that's why they have to have the spinny thing, because they have to make up for the fact they're not as good as the Jedi.
Have you seen the episode or the gifs of them using the spinny thing as helicopter blades?
Yes.
Everything is like, I'm Mary Poppins. But yeah, I'll have to say that's probably my favorite part. Just one of the many badass lightsaber scenes that happen in this series.
Very much. All right, I'm going to give. I think I'm down with the 4.75 and 5. I too, Chris Slattman. I kind of want to give it a little bit more and go over 5, but I'm going to hold that. I'm going to reserve that right for later as well. To me, Star Wars is Star Wars again with these 4 episodes. I mean, not that it hasn't been Star Wars, but I mean, this felt more Star Wars than the rest. And each of the shows we're getting have their own way of being Star Wars, but this felt like the Star Wars, right? Like this could be an episode of Star Wars out, even though it doesn't have Skywalkers, right? Because it kind of does. I guess it does have a Skywalker at the last few seconds of this, technically. I really, really enjoyed it. And one thing before I get to my favorite scenes, one thing I wanted to point out was the music choices in episode 4 are amazing, and really just, I mean, so perfect with the scenes. Like the scene when they're trying to get the ships are showing up and they're trying to get the last little bit of the music, dun, 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 you know, it just propels the action, and it's so well done, so well done. So my favorite scenes. Oh my gosh, could it be the whales? I'm just going to go with that entire kind of fight scene between, you know, was it Shin and Merrick and a couple of others, and just the whole fight scene down to the ground, right? And they're all, you know, they almost lose, like completely lose, and you know they really are beaten. They're hiding in the trees as they, you know, can't find them anymore. So they definitely do not win that fight, and it kind of brings our characters together during that as well. A lot of good stuff. For me, in the second one, there's so much to choose. I mean, probably my favorite visual moment is when Balin has Ahsoka, you know, at the very edge, and he's got the sword, you know, and he says, you know, it didn't have to be this way. That was my favorite visual. But my favorite moment in the part of the story is him stopping the, you know, like he's coming at her with the lightsaber at Sabine, stops, you know, turns off the lightsaber and does that little forcey thing that he does, and then just starts, you know, going politics and you know, all just communicating with her, right, and convincing her to do something, you know, kind of giving her an opportunity not to die is basically what he's doing. And I don't know, I thought that was such a great, important moment for this series. I mean, it had, you know, it was so well shot. That whole scene was, you know, the whole location was fantastic, but just them interacting in such a way, and their body languages, the dialogue they had, everything was spot on for me. Loved it.
Shin doing a force choke, we didn't say that at any point. Her force choking Sabine from behind was badass. Like, she is such a badass character, and it's so cool to see like his stoic kind of attitude against her, like, let me at him kind of attitude. Oh man. But that force choke, it's something that's easily overlooked, but was like really intense. You don't see that often, and
have we seen force chokes before?
Whipped it out. Yeah.
Well, you can definitely tell there's a big connection between Balin and her, so it makes you kind of wonder what their connection is, if it's more than just being, you know.
It's like his daughter. Possibly,
yeah. Because when Ahsoka does that and runs her against it, he gets pissed.
Yeah, real pissed.
Oh yeah. He slams her against a rock. That was a pivotal moment for her too. I mean, that she's so calm, cool, and collective throughout the entire 4 episodes. You know, she breaks at that moment. You know, her emotions come in, and that's always a thing, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, there you go. That's our review of Ahsoka episodes 3 and 4. I think we are saying, if you're a Star Wars fan, don't listen to the haters. Watch the episodes and enjoy them on your own terms. It's okay to like Star Wars.
Exactly.
I made a joke earlier. I said, you know what? People may not like it now, but the kids will in 10 years.
Oh, well, that's always true. That's true. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Please, before we leave, if you're watching still, thank you so much. Hour into it. We appreciate it. Please leave your comments and thoughts down below. We'd love to hear from you. Vanessa, welcome back. So good to have you here. Christopher, Slattman, thank you for joining me once again. Awesome.
May the force be with you.
And also with you. All right. With that, let's get out of here.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Gruesome Magazine.